Hey guys, so in this video I will be showing you how I do a low fade with texture on top and a blunt fringe. Any questions, comment in the comment section below and let's begin. So as you can see, I'm putting in my first guideline. This one I'm going for a 000 and then I'm going to put in the foils at the bottom. When I say 000, most of the time I mean my balding clippers. You know, you can make this with your normal 0 or you can use your detailers, whatever you prefer. I'm using my balding clippers for this one. So I've put in my baseline with the 0, keeping it all nice and low, and now I'm going to make my second guideline. The second guideline I'm using here is a number 2 on the super tapers. And this is the one that decides what the structure is going to be like on top. Okay, now here I'm using a 1.5 guard. This is just to start blending in between the 2 and the 0. I'm using the 1.5 guard rather than the 1.5 as I didn't have time to jump into the 1. I had to guard skip a little bit in this just because it was in such a time scale as we were doing a photo shoot. So now what I'm doing is starting to blend out the guideline, and while I do that I'm using a half guard all the way open, come up about an inch, and then I'm going to open it. I'm going to start going a little higher and then slowly close that as you come down back onto the half. So I'm fading down on this. Other times I might grab a number 1 and open it, but for this fade I'm just going to use a half guard, open it up. That's roughly about a 1, but I'm keeping everything flush so that as I come off I blend in. Okay, so I've done that and the guard's off. So again, going to open the guard, and then once I open the blades it'll go a little higher, then come lower onto the line, slowly closing the taper arm. Also just using that brush there to get rid of any excess hair. You know, you can see it better than rather than try to use a comb. The slightly tougher brush just gets rid of any stubborn hair that's lying about. Okay, now on to the magic clips, fade blades. Again, exact same process I went over with the super tapers, except this is just going a little closer. So just blend finer into the hair. I normally, as I come down, I normally close the lever about, there's five points in the lever. You could say there's a couple more, but I typically use 5 points. So you've got closed, open, halfway, and then in between. I'm just using clipper over comb here just to start blending between the top of the hair and the sides, keeping the comb as kind of straight up and down as I can, pulling it out just to keep the sides nice and square. Now I'm just going to clean up the edges with the foils. These are Ultimas. Brilliant set of foils, you can get the parts online and everything, and they cut super close. Nice and smooth, no pulling, just right. You probably pick up a set for about 40 quid or 40 pounds online. Sometimes in a shop. Great foils. Maybe get a review on them soon. Now I'm just using the details to get rid of the line between the foils and the balding clippers. You'll see me use the corners of the blade a lot. This is basically just to soften it up a little bit more. You don't want a straight edge on the fade. And of course everything I'm doing on the side that you see most of the time, I'm doing round the back and the other side as well. Just didn't show you, just showed you the one side because I was in such a rush and didn't have time to set up two cameras. Now I'm using clipper over comb with the magic clips just to start getting rid of any shadows or blemishes in the fade. The magic clip on the clipper over comb just cuts a little closer than the super tapers over the clipper over comb, and just try to get that keep the shape as well as get rid of shadows. Sometimes you can get rid of a shadow and then all of a sudden the whole shape of the haircut's gone. It's not just about the fade, it's about the whole haircut itself. Don't get too caught up in the very close up stuff. You've got to be able to stand back and look at the full haircut. You can always go back over and check it at the end. I'm using a thin comb just to get rid of any wee lines that I can see at that time. You can't see it on camera, but there was a couple of lines. So this is really dark hair, and you'll see that in the finishing in the photos at the end. Really thick textured hair. just starting off that beard clean-up while I'm there, just so I can see some more progress in the cut. I'm not going to go for a sharp finish on this, I'm probably just going to go over it with the foils. Clean up that neckline. There's nothing worse when you do a full haircut and then you come back, then you let the guy out of the chair and he's get hair all over his neck. Especially if the guy's hairy, and you don't want like long, thick black hairs peeking out the top of his t-shirt. As you can see, I just dampened the hair, I'm not soaking it. The reason why I'm not soaking the hair is because I want to see how the hair lies naturally, and when you soak the hair too much, you can't see that. As you can see, I was pointing out that there was already a guideline there from clipping over comb, so I'm going to go for the shortest there, and I'm just going to keep my comb straight up and down, keeping it vertical, and just scissor over comb and keep it nice and smooth and start to blend. Also guys, make sure you push the fringe out the way, because you don't want to start snipping that up. For the beginners out there with scissor over comb, it will start to kind of flow and get a rhythm with it, just be patient, it will come. That was just a couple of dark hairs that I seen, just catching up. In this cut I just seen I sectioned off the fringe. I sectioned it off because normally if you start straight from the front of the hairline, the front section can become a lot shorter than the rest of the haircut, so I've sectioned that off. I'm going to cut straight to the back. I'm going to come to the next section on the side, keep that straight front to back, and I'm keeping my fingers 180 degrees. I'm trying to cut, imagine if you've got a square on top of the head, that's what you're trying to get. You shouldn't always cut by the shape of the head, otherwise it will collapse in on itself. So again, for the sides I'm going straight up and down, and then I'm going to round off the corners just by slightly curving my fingers. The reason why I said this is to keep everything square. Is when the corners collapse, it's just not a good look. Not the look that I'm after for this. I'm trying to keep everything square, heavy, kind of masculine a bit. All I'm doing here is cross-checking. When I'm looking at these guidelines as well, I'm going to bring them down to the front of the hair and connect the fringe in. Obviously lifting the fringe up, just as I've done with the rest of the head. Straight up, don't lose your angles. You need to keep your angles to keep the whole haircut perfect. Keep it in shape. I then run over the head from back to front, folding the comb forward towards me, and I'm going to point cut it just to add a little texture, just to break up the ends a bit. You can do this club cutting, lifting up your sections. I wanted finer sections, so I used scissor over comb. Now all I'm doing is running over the cheek and the neck with a number 1. I'm going to leave the upper lip and the bottom lip and chin area, just I want that a little darker, just to give a little shadow there, just to make it more natural. Just cleaning up the bottom here, I didn't want to sharpen it right up. I'm going more for a stubble look rather than a beard look. Just want that kind of a little roughness to it. Just softening up that line. Using a half here, sorry about the camera. Now you're seeing me when I lined off to catch the loose hairs in the upper lip. I just used the corners of the blade, as when you use a full blade it's a sensitive area on the lip, so you just want to use the corners and just lightly go over it, just enough to remove the hair. Same with the bottom lip as well. The 2 bottom corners are probably one of the most irritating things a guy can have with facial hair, as they just tickle and they annoy you a lot, so make sure you clean them up. As I said, I just cleaned up with the foil on the beard here. I never used the straight razor because I didn't want the lines too sharp. I wanted to keep everything a bit softer but still clean. Now I'm going to start working on the fringe. What I'm doing here is I'm picking it up and I'm going to chip into it a bit. You can go a little deeper if you want. I've just went in a little. This is just to start breaking it up when it falls. Just helps to separate it a little, you don't want it too harsh. Okay, so now I've grabbed the detailers and I'm just going to shape it with them to get the length that I desire. On some like a little higher, some like a little lower. For this one, I've decided I want it at this length. I'm not going to take it too high up into the hairline, I still want it to fall down. Kind of keep that messy look when I go to style it. Make sure you check it just to make sure everything's kind of even and flat. Okay, so now here, well, this is called tower cutting, and I'm going to use the thinning scissors using this method just to soften up the white line, just to add that extra bit of texture as well. Not going right into the root, just the very ends. Now that's the cut pretty much done. What all that's left to do next is style it, but before we style it, go back over the haircut, sharpen everything up, add on any wee extras that you think, like the eyebrows, or, you know, on this one as well I decided to put in a couple of small tram lines, just because it was for a photo shoot, and just to kind of set it off a little bit more. You can clean them up with the open razor as well if you want. To style, I've put in some sea salt spray, took the nozzle off the dryer and I've basically just finger dried it just to dry it and start the separation on the hair. Then put in some straighteners, and this is just to help with manipulation when I put in the wax. So little add-ons like this that kind of get the whole image to what you're after. Now I can't see this guy in my chair doing this every day, but you know, your clients appreciate the extra effort. It's how you make money, how you get tips, how people come back to you. Now what I've got here is I've got some matte clay, and I'm just going to rub it all the way through the hair. Make sure it gets everywhere, evenly distributed, and just rub it all down, start flattening it out. Get everything flowing towards the front, but not too perfect, just a little rough. Then we're going to separate the fringe. And we're going to start twisting. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to lift the hair, you'll see it in a little second. But I'm going to lift the hair back, and as the hair falls I'm just going to twist the very ends to get some separation. Just imagine like making tiny little spikes, and as it falls back onto the next one, they'll fall on top of each other, as you can see here. Great little technique I picked up. Make sure you have a little product on your fingertips as well, just to grip it and set it all down. As you can see, once you go over the full head, it's a good look. Then to set it all off, just blast it with hairspray. Okay guys, here is I'm just going to basically soften up around just below the cheekbone, just to make that line pop out a little bit more. Blend in the sideburns as well while I'm at it. I went round the rest of the haircut. I never showed it in the video, but I went round the rest of the haircut just to make sure everything was, again, I was happy with it. Go off your client, make sure he's happy with it, take a stand back, make sure you're happy with it. After that you're done. So thanks for sticking to the end of this video guys, appreciate it.